All right, so today's video is an exciting one for me, as I hope it is for you too, and because this is my first ride impressions, I got to drive the all-new 2024 GMC Hummer EV SUV. So with that, let's get going. Hop in the vehicle and tell you some of my very first initial ride impressions. I just want to give you kind of an overview as to what happened, where I went, and so on and so forth. I was fortunate enough to be sent to San Francisco and Napa Valley to test out the new Hummer EV SUV. And essentially what happened was we had the opportunity to take the vehicle, drive it from San Francisco to Napa Valley. So a good, highway test, twisty turny roads and so on and so forth. And then once we got to Napa Valley, we ran into a little bit of an issue because unfortunately, they were getting hammered with rain when I was there. Rain, wind, and so on, you name it, they had it. And unfortunately, the off-road track, which you're gonna see some video of as we go through here, was a mucky, muddy mess to say the least. In fact, we could only go out for one ride each just because the track was just so bad. But that being said, I think you'll be pretty impressed with how it actually navigated through this trail, because I can tell you there's a lot of trucks that if I would have tried to take through there, no way that it would have gotten through there. So yeah, I want to talk about today, the video is going to talk about, as far as what my initial impressions are of the drive, off-roading. I also want to show you the WTF mode, Watts of Freedom. So that's 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds in this got to be around 9,000 pound machine. They didn't tell us the weight of it, but that's where I'm guessing. Not to mention, on top of all that, I want to show you the crab walk mode as well. There's a lot of cool things I want to show you in this video. So with that, let's just listen to me hopping in the vehicle for my first initial drive impressions, and then we'll go from there. All right, I feel super fortunate, super lucky, and super thankful to GMC for allowing me to sit in this seat and drive this 2024 GMC Hummer EV SUV. This thing is out of this world. First and foremost, this doesn't necessarily, go with the driving test, but from an exterior looks, now of course I've done video on a walk around of this Hummer EV SUV, but from the exterior looks, now that I've been driving it, holy, this thing is an absolute neck breaker. People are turning heads. I've had a few honks, I've had a few thumbs up. Crazy the attention that you are getting when you're driving a vehicle such as this. First of all, of course, there isn't many out there, but the thing just looks so phenomenal. Again, I happen to be actually in the black one right now, which I'm super fond of. It looks really mean, menacing, aggressive in the black color. So very happy that I had the opportunity to get into the black one. I'm not saying anything that the other colors aren't cool. I just like black. All that being said, though, let's talk about some of the drive, some of the ride that I'm noticing. First and foremost, the thing is absolutely out of this world, uncomfortable, but comfortable. And why I'm saying that, of course, is that there is no weight listed on this thing right now, but my guess is it's going to be similar to the truck, although the wheelbase is shorter and so on by about 9-10 inches. But the ride in and of itself right now is remarkably comfortable because of the weight. So I'm guessing this is coming in around the 9,000 pound range. Now, you don't feel that in terms of necessarily how it handles, but in terms of how it handles in the sense that it's so smooth. Like I've seen, especially I can see on the freeway here, more so I noticed when I was in town in San Francisco, as I was weaving my way to get out of the city, you would see people with, their suspensions ahead of you and, they're bouncing and stuff. And I would go over the same thing. I'm like, I don't even feel that. If not having seen that person bump up and down, I wouldn't have even known that was there. Again, because of the weight, the stance of this thing, obviously the big tires and stuff, but very, very impressed first and foremost that. Now, the one thing, and I'm noticing that even right now, actually, as a truck just tries to basically almost cut me off, is on the freeway, it's taking some time for me to adjust to the pure sheer width of this thing. So although it's not wider than lanes, it feels like it when you've never been in this vehicle or driven this vehicle before. So it feels wide. Now, I'm already starting to get a bit more used to it, a bit more comfortable, and I'm sure, after you drive for a day or so, it'll become old hat. But I just almost feel like I'm hanging in a lane because this thing is so massive. But I love it. That's one of the things I love about the Hummer, and that's one of the things I loved about the old Hummer was the sheer size, magnitude, the gargantuanness of it. it stands out in a mean way. So that's just one of the things I like, so I'm not going to complain about that. I do notice, of course, this thing is not designed for high-end, high-speed turning. You do feel a bit of body roll with it. It is very planted, but you know, much like a Tahoe or a Yukon or whatever, you're not going to be handling corners at 70 miles an hour. Well, sorry, 170 miles an hour, but you know, at very high speeds and weaving in and out. I mean, that's not what this is designed for, although it has the power. So speaking of that, I'm not in the W2F mode, which is Watts to Freedom, just in the regular mode as I'm driving here, but very impressed with the get up and go. If I want to get around somebody, boom. Again, this thing is almost 9,000 pounds. We're in that range. 0 to 60 time is 3.5 seconds, 3.5 freaking seconds. How fast this thing get up, and I can feel that even, and that's WTF mode, of course, but I can still feel that. Now, one of the things I'm not super fond of, and again, it could just be getting used to it, it could be just because it's a different vehicle, but what I'm not overly liking is some of the visibility. So being that I'm taller, and I also sit a bit taller, I have to actually lower my seat even more than normal, mainly because the windshield is super wide, but it's a little bit more, it's narrower, shallower, or however you want to call it. Not as high, basically, as what I'm used to in my daily drivers and trucks and normal SUVs. So I'm noticing that part of it is it's definitely a little bit less visibility. They actually have 3 windshield wipers on the darn thing, which is pretty cool. Reason, of course, being is they need those sort of, you'd have to have 2 big, massive ones, and it would be weird because they need to be, anyways, it works well with the 3 wipers. But yeah, I'm noticing a little shallow, and then also in the back. Now the cool part, I can actually flip it on. I didn't even do that. But I did notice I had just the regular mirror on, and with the tire in the way, and then also with the window in the back also being shallower, doesn't give you, it gives you a view. I'm not saying you can't see at the rear window with the normal rear view mirror, but I just flipped it over the camera and it works so much better. So again, regardless, if you have people in the back, if you have it loaded in the back, if the spare tires back there, all that kind of stuff, the window's a bit smaller, the rear vision camera, streaming view camera, HD camera, it works flawlessly. It works better anyways, honestly. It's wider field of view, it's clear. Anyway, I would definitely though recommend always using that, because I do notice that if you're using the regular mirror, the visibility is, you know, not so. Now, of course, the side windows are massive. They're fine, great there. I love the roof on this. I'd love to take it off, but right now here, believe it or not, in San Francisco area, heading up to Napa right now is where I'm driving. The downside is it's been miserable, rainy, windy, so not exactly weather to take this off. And honestly, you wouldn't be able to hear me probably if I took it off just from pure wind noise perspective. And speaking of noise, actually, that's the other thing that I am very impressed with. This thing has massive tires on it right now. You hear a little bit of road noise, but for basically pushing a barn door through the wind, this is not, you know, Corvette Z06 that we're pushing through here, that's slipstream. This thing is boxy. You know, you're gonna have a lot. You think you have a lot of wind, tire noise, road noise. I don't have the radio on, and I'm ridiculously over impressed with how quiet it is. The quiet tune technology they have in this. Again, especially you have a removable roof. Like, this is not, you know, it's like those Jeeps are loud as heck. This thing doesn't even have an engine, but you would think so. Therefore, you would think you would hear more road noise, and not at all. I can turn the radio on, which, by the way, the stereo system in this thing absolutely rocks. I was listening to it a few moments ago. Obviously, you have to turn it off when doing a YouTube video here. But no, I mean, jeepers, so far. I'm just really impressed. And now it does have the SuperCruise as well. You know, I would assume that, again, SuperCruise I know has been limited on a number of vehicles. I don't really see this vehicle coming hardly without it. So, but the SuperCruise obviously is amazing, works well. I've only used it sparingly today, mainly because I just wanted to have control of it. You know, just because it's a newer vehicle. The screens are awesome, easy to read. Navigation's massive, so it's, again, easy to see, easy to read. A huge screen, over 13, I think it's just over 13 inches. But again, go back. I'm going to do a whole walk around video on this, but really what I want to talk about today is my first and initial ride impressions. Now, of course, I'm going to be taking this thing off-road as well, doing the crab walk, you know, raising and lowering the suspension. It has the air ride suspension in this, of course. But right now, holy moly. Not that I didn't really think that I wasn't going to be impressed. I wasn't really coming into this going, oh, I think it'll be okay. I was pumped to be here, to be able to drive this. I didn't actually even have the opportunity to drive the Hummer truck yet, to be honest with you. So this is my real first time putting any real real-time behind the Hummer, and of course the Hummer SUV has just been phenomenal, knocking my socks out so far. I'll turn this back on if I think of some other things, if I notice some other things as I'm driving. And again, of course, stay tuned as we're going to get to some off-road components here as well. All right, so remember earlier I was just talking about how, you know, high speeds, you know, handling, whatever, you want to be a little more cautious probably. I am getting closer to Napa Valley. I'm going in some tight, twisty areas here, elevation changes, whatever. Very impressed. So when I'm not doing over 70 miles an hour, I'm actually really impressed with how well, and again, it could just be a matter of me now getting more used to the vehicle too, right? As I said, you know, I felt it was a bit wide. I'm not feeling that anymore already. But also I'm really noticing the tight turning is nothing. Like, this thing handles well. It's just like I said, at higher speed, you might notice that bit of a, you know, body roll a little bit. That's at a higher speed, of course, tighter turns. But right now, 45 miles an hour. I mean, it's not like we're putting along at 20, and it's no issues for me. So I just wanted to kind of bring that to attention. That I'm very impressed with how it's handling the tighter quarters that I'm in right now. So needless to say, you can see that I was initially very impressed, and I'm going to tell you that didn't change as it went on. So just as a heads up, spoiler alert, it only got more impressive and only got better for me as it went along. So I think the next thing I want to show you actually is the off-road course that we were, went on. Now, first and foremost, I'm going to show you a little video inside the vehicle, how rough it was, then show you one of outside the vehicle. One of the things you can hear actually in one point of the video is really interesting, well, not interesting, but almost sketchy and scary. You can hear when I was inside of it as well as outside, of course, is the skid plates hitting some massive rocks that they had in there. I thought the vehicle was going to get torn apart. Nothing happened to it whatsoever. So not only does it work well, especially when you're in extract mode, you can lift it up and so on, in terrain mode, the one pedal drive that it has, but it really, had an amazing amount of protection underneath. So there wasn't an issue in terms of that. So you're not going to get left stranded on the trail because you've ripped some of the underbody out of it, right? So that's where I want to go next.
Be ready for some impact, okay? Like, this is going to be a little rough, but it will climb the rocks and we'll hear the skid plates really work here.
Let me.
Oh, so that looks fun. I'm going to go out there and do it. Look at that, that's great.
Now we're getting onto the logs, so you really feel us tilt here in a second. Maybe. There we go. And then we'll go back towards you. Up onto these logs here.
This feels like a roller coaster.
Next quick little clip I want to show you is the WTF mode, because this thing is insane. As mentioned, they haven't really listed a weight for this, but if we're going to compare it to the SUV or the truck, the SUV, pardon me, to the truck, the Hummer EV truck comes in around 9,000 pounds. We got to guess that the SUV is going to be somewhere close to that, and it's hitting the 0 to 60 miles per hour in 3.5 seconds. Yes, it has 830 horsepower. Yes, it has 11,500 pound-feet of torque, but 3.5 seconds. We squat the machine down, you hold on the brake, and then you hammer the gas, you let the brake go, and it goes. Let's watch that. So this is something I've been looking forward to for a long time. I'm finally going to try the Watts of Freedom mode, the WTF mode in this vehicle. Here we go. Let's try this out. That was crazy. And then lastly, the crab walk. Now, before we get to the crab walk, one of the things I kind of wish I had, and unfortunately, again, because of the weather, I didn't get a lot of good footage of this, but you're gonna see it in the crab walk. But the four-wheel steer is absolutely impressive. One of the things I'm most impressed by is the sheer turning radius that the Hummer EV SUV offers. My wife drives a Chevrolet Tahoe. It turns circles inside that. It probably turns within what an Equinox would turn. It is absolutely insane, especially at the lower speeds. And what it does is, again, you're turning, but the back wheels are turned to help aid you to turn around. I had a couple of places where I wanted to stop to film the vehicle, and I was able to turn around like no problem. Very, very impressed with that. But again, of course, the crab walk is where it can go like this, right? And it's going to come very handy in off-road situations. So let me show you a little front view, interior view with one of the engineers, and exterior view, back view, front view, whatever, of the crab walk.
So we're going to demonstrate crab walk here. So to start with, you're going to hold down this button right here. You can see that's got the four wheels kind of laid out, right? So once I hold that down, you hear the sound kick in here. Once that circle completes, I can let go, and I'm now in crab walk mode. Okay, the cameras kick on just as a, you don't have to use that view, but it kind of demonstrates it well. So let me just pass through both directions and we'll start moving.
So overall, I have to have a massive thanks to GMC for allowing me this opportunity to drive this Hummer EV SUV. It's an experience I'm never going to forget, and I only wish that I had the dough right now to get one. They're hard to get right now. I think they're sold 2 years out right now, and I can see why. After driving this thing, I would recommend this to just about anybody. Now, that being said, of course, this isn't being sold to somebody who has to drive 500 miles in between where there's ranges, right? This is going to be sold for certain people's applications. Let's keep that in mind. So, all the EV haters out there, you have to drive one of these things before you can say anything about EVs. The performance is outstanding. The amount of things that this super truck or super SUV, has is out of this world, hence the lunar stuff that we see in it. But the thing is, I understand, especially me being from Northern Canada, Northern Ontario, the range anxiety and all that kind of stuff. Well, it's not being sold for everybody and everybody's applications, right? It's being sold where it's being able to be used right now. And as it grows, we're only going to have more ability to use it in further places, and then more people will be able to use it. But in the meantime, there is no denying what an amazing vehicle this is. I am so, again, grateful that I had the opportunity to drive this. I cannot wait till I get behind the wheel of one once again. As always, though, thanks for watching. Take care.